I'm Bob Berkowitz. This is Real Personal. We're talking to a couple who had a week of very intense sex therapy about a year ago, and our mission tonight is to find out if the effects of their therapy are still giving lasting pleasure. And by the way, Jan and George are now on their third marriage, and we're obviously seeing that it's working out very nicely. Also joining us is a woman who's been a sex therapist for some 23 years, Dr. Dagmar O'Connor. She's also the author of How to Make Love to the Same Person for the Rest of Your Life and Still Love It, and there is a video version of it out as well. Once again, our question for you is, if you've ever had sex therapy, read a self-help book, or come up with your own homemade sex treatment, what have been the long-term effects? Our toll-free number, once again, is 1-800-487-CNBC. Do tell us your experiences. We'll get to your calls in just a moment or two. You have a 10-point program that you give in the course of a week, and we're going to ask you, of course, to truncate that in just a few minutes.
Yes.
Give me a very brief synopsis of all 10 steps, if you will.
The first step is to learn to take turns touching each other.
But except
genitals, no breasts, no genitals,
right.
Nothing what we call sexual,
okay.
But just a sensual exploration. You learn how to take turns initiating. You learn how to be active and passive. And it's so important to be both, to be a taker and a giver.
And step 2 is what?
And step 2, you include breasts, and then you gradually include genitals. But somewhere in the middle of that, you also masturbate in front of each other, which means what we talked about earlier, taking your power back, saying this is who I am, not that you are the only one who can do it for me. And then you take turns touching each other's genitals for 1 minute only, first time, and then gradually showing each other what you like yourself. You take responsibility for everything that happens to you.
And responsibility for your own pleasure?
Absolutely.
The other person is not responsible for giving you pleasure? Why is that? What does that mean?
Because we're not supposed to second-guess each other. If we went out for dinner, would you know what I wanted to eat for dinner?
No.
No.
Of course not.
And you wouldn't order in my menu either.
No. Nor would I chew your food for you.
Thank you.
I have no idea what that means. I just thought I'd say it. Go ahead with your 10 steps, please.
And then gradually, you learn how to show each other your genitals so that you take the partner on a tour of your genitals. And for women, this is really important. Women learn to be good hostesses when it comes to sexuality. They learn to feel that they're not penetrated, but they are taking him and holding him inside in a loving way. And then gradually we move to the next step, and then first time intercourse is putting the penis inside of the vagina and just sitting still. And I call that a nice visit. Because then you get off and you don't do anything else for that.
You also have an interesting theory or idea about why some men have difficulties with erections and some women have orgasm difficulty.
It's an expression of personality. And the man who has difficulty with erections is usually a man who has difficulty with anger.
In expressing anger.
Yes.
He's holding that anger in.
He holds the anger in.
So I'm going to punish the woman by I'm angry at her, and so I'm going to punish her by not giving her my erection. Is that what you're saying?
It may not come out that way, but there's somewhere in that area. So what you first have to teach him to do is to express his anger.
Okay.
And get it out.
And what is her issue? And why is she not having orgasms?
She is very often, I did a study on this, she's very often the oldest child. She's the high achiever, and we know the profile of the high achiever. She is into pleasing everybody else.
But herself.
Not herself.
Okay.
When you ask her what she's feeling, she has no idea. And a man who ejaculates too fast is usually a man who's very anxious and is difficulty being in the moment. So what I need to teach him is to be in process. He's always at the end point. What am I going to do? How is it going to be? And the first thing he comes to my office, I send him home walking slowly. And that is difficult. That's the first exercise.
And if he doesn't live in New York, he's in much better shape. Let us go to the phone and talk to Patrick from Illinois. Patrick, thanks for calling Real Personal. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine.
I had a question for Dr. O'Connor. My wife and I have recently delved into masturbation and other various techniques to try to bring some spice back to our sex life, which has been lacking for a while. And my wife has responded very well with this. She has, partook in with me, and it makes me feel good that she is. However, I have not been able to do that myself. I feel very inhibited, and I was wondering if the doctor has a suggestion.
Okay. How do you get over the inhibition? Now, obviously, a lot of people are going to feel uncomfortable doing this.
Absolutely. I mean, this is our biggest closet behavior is masturbation. What I suggest very often is start when she's asleep at night. And or do it in a separate. If you can't even do that, then masturbate in front of her picture in a different room, and gradually bring it. Desensitize yourself. Then, after you can do it when she's asleep, do it behind her back, or she's watching television or reading a book or something. So she isn't looking at you. Then it isn't so embarrassing. There's a lot of shame that you're dealing with, and you don't need to have that shame anymore.
About 10 seconds before we have to take a break. Who's this more difficult for, men or women in general?
Usually our society is more accepting of male masturbation than female masturbation, so mostly women.
Okay. On that note, let us take a break. We're talking about the effects of sex therapy. Give us your suggestions, your experiences, your ideas on our toll-free number. I am Bob Berkowitz. You're watching Real Personal here on CNBC. Stay with us, please.